Hello, this is Ernest Burley Jr., your certified financial planner, your chartered financial consultant, your NFLPA registered player financial advisor, your author of two books on Money Management, Easy as One, Two, Three, and Money Management from grade school to grad school. These books are on Amazon. Order them, order them, order them. I heard they're great books. I just had a client tell me this week that she was going to get one for her, her nephew to read to help him with thinking about the various principles of money management, financial planning, insurance, things of that nature. So buy them out. All right. I'm going to cut this intro short. I normally do like a long intro, but I'm going to cut it short. And I just want to get right to the podcast. So I focus on wealth management. I have clients all over the country, investing, IRAs, 401k plans, portfolios, brokerage accounts, things of that nature. Also, asset protection, insurance, and various insurance and financial services type products for clients all over the country, from the West Coast, from the East Coast, to the north, to the south, just all over the country. So borders, state lines don't restrict Burley Insurance and Financial Services. Au moi, Ernest Burley Jr. from helping clients out in those arenas. So the purpose of this podcast is to educate, to enlighten, and to empower you with clear, unbiased information so you can make some great decisions for yourself, for your family members, for those who you are in connection with. And that's what it's all about. Okay. Now I'm going to jump right on to the podcast. Let's get going. And also make sure you vote. Okay. I early voted today. Let's make sure we vote. Exercise that right. Okay. All right. Today's podcast is titled When and How to Plan for Retirement. Again, when and how to plan for retirement. So, retirement is at the forefront of a lot of people's minds. I just got off the phone with a client that was talking about retirement, thinking about retirement. And that's like a common topic for a lot of my clients that we have discussions on throughout the weeks, right? So people usually think about retirement when like they're a little bit older, like in their 50s, which 50 is not old, okay? But like in their 50s, that's when people normally think about it. But some clients actually think about it even earlier. Like, so kudos to them. I mean, a lot of clients I come across, they're like in their 30s and their 40s, even some in their late 20s, because their parents have kind of been clients of mine and they've kind of nudged their children to speak to me about, retirement planning and things of that nature. So kudos to them. Awesome. The earlier you start, the better. So now here's what people often ask. They ask, okay, so when should I start planning for retirement? And then the follow-up question after that is normally, okay, how do I plan for retirement? And people don't usually know how to start planning for retirement. So we're going to take a look at that. What are the steps to start planning for retirement? So the first question, when should you start planning for retirement? In your 20s, how about that? Or even in your teens. As soon as you start earning income, you should start planning for your retirement. And by that, I mean, when you start making money, you should start putting money into some type of retirement plan, an IRA, a 401k plan at work, a TSP if you're with the federal government. And by doing that, you are really planning for retirement, right? So you're putting away some money now, hopefully for it to grow later on. So when you retire, you'll have some money to retire on. So start early. The earlier you start, the better, because accumulation, growth, and compound interest love time. Time is their best friend. So you want to give your money the best chance at accumulating over time, growing over time, and gaining and growing compound interest over time. So the sooner you start, the more time you have to maximize your accumulation, maximize your growth, maximize your compound interest on the money that you're putting away. So start early. Don't wait until you're in your 50s and 60s and start trying to retire then. Not even in your 40s. Don't wait until then. Start early. Okay. So that's when to start. Okay. Now, let's jump in. How do you plan for retirement? What steps should you take? So the first thing I recommend clients do is a cash flow worksheet. Uh, and this cash flow worksheet should include all of your expected future expenses while you're in retirement. So that includes, of course, your normal expenses like utilities and groceries and cell phone bill, things of that nature. Even a lot of people retire with a mortgage, so you need to stick that in there too, right? So put in your expected future retirement expenses. But also include things like this. This is what people normally forget. Travel, like when you retire, you want to travel, have fun, do things of that nature. Healthcare expenses, got to think about that. Gifting to your grandchildren and maybe even your children. Some people, help their children out in various ways, or their grandchildren, contribute to their 529 plan, help them with a down payment for a house or a down payment for a car. If you've planned well and you have the resources to do that, then that's great, right? But you need to put that in for your expected expenses. Okay, so that's one part of the cash flow worksheet. Then you need to also include all of your expected income during retirement. So Social Security, any pensions, any annuities, any type of income that's coming into your household to offset the expenses and to help you maintain your standard of living. Okay, so the cash flow flash. I don't know what's going on with me today. The cash flow worksheet is very important. It's very key. It's instrumental to planning for retirement because it costs money to retire. It's not a free venture at all. It costs money to retire. So we want to make sure we plan and put ourselves in a good position to do that. Okay. Now, that's step number one. Step number two, you also want to calculate your expected accumulation of resources by the time you retire. And by that, I mean, okay, what do you anticipate your 401k plan growing to, your TSP growing to, your real estate investments growing to? What will be the value of those assets, those resources when you retire? Now you want to put some type of rate of return on that. So for example, you might say, well, I have 100,000 in my 401k plan now. I'm putting away 500 bucks a month, and I expect an 8% return per year. And there are apps and programs, computer programs that can help you out with that calculation. You put in 100,000 as your principal, $500 monthly contribution, 8% annual rate of return, and it will spit out a number, like say 20 years, you're going to put it away for 20 years or 30 years or whatever. And it will spit out a number on the back end and say, based on this information you put in, you have $100,000 now, you're putting away 500 bucks a month for the next 30 years, and you expect to earn 8% on that money. That will be worth this amount. So you want to do that for all of your accounts, TSP, IRA, 401k, real estate. Say, hey, it's worth this amount now. It's probably going to grow at 8 to 10% in market value over the years, or 5% or whatever. Put some and say, okay, well, this house is worth $100,000 now. It should be worth 180 or 250 by the time I retire, and then I can sell it, blah, 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 right? Just know the value of your resources and assets by the time you expect to retire. All right, step number three, we want to determine if that expected accumulation of resources will be enough to satisfy you in retirement. Will it be enough for you to retire on? So you need to figure that out. Okay, so if you need $5,000 a month, um, you calculate that, that's $60,000 a year. Is that going to be enough for you to survive on based on what you've accumulated? And I did another podcast on how much uh, getting an approximate figure on how much you need to retire on. So I don't have time to go into it now, but check out that podcast that goes over how much to retire on, how much do you need to save to retire on. Okay. Now, if that figure that you have is not enough to sustain you based on the expected expenses that you'll have in retirement, then you need to increase your contributions to your retirement plan, right? So instead of 500 bucks a month, I'm just throwing an arbitrary figure out there, then you might need to bump it to 750 or 800 bucks a month. You can plug figures into that calculator or that app, and it will tell you the growth, what the growth will be on that money to get you to your goal. So you can play around with that to see, okay, how much do I need to save to get to my goal amount? So that's step three. Step four, I recommend you build your cash to equal 2 years of your expenses, right? So 2 years of your expected expenses during retirement, you should have in cash. And that's for backup, for safety, emergencies, to use if the market is down. Instead of pulling money from your investment accounts, maybe you pull money from the cash to give your investments time to recover if we're in a volatile season. So that, in addition to other things, you could use the cash for. The cash just gives you options, and you want to have good options while you're in retirement and not be stressed and strapped when you're dealing with retiring. You're supposed to be like chilling at that point. So have the cash to give you options. Okay. Now I want to make a quick note here. We also want to get rid of debt. So you don't want to walk into retirement with credit card debt and personal loans and stuff like that. Let's make sure we kind of wipe that stuff out, accelerate getting rid of that debt. Now, I want to put a caveat on that. I don't recommend sacrificing putting money into your retirement plans that can grow over time. I don't recommend you putting that money into a mortgage to pay off your mortgage early. And I did a podcast on that too, whether you should pay off your mortgage early. So please take a look at that because I'm not going to delve into that now. I would rather you have put away the money into your IRA or your 401k or TSP and let it grow over time to have this cash available for you to do what you want to do when you retire instead of having that cash locked up into the house because you made extra payments to the mortgage. When you get to the end and you have this bucket of cash that you put away, right? You can decide at that point if you want to pay off the mortgage or not, or if you want to use that money for something else, as opposed to the money being locked up in the house. And in order for you to get that money, you have to borrow it because the bank's not going to give it to you, right? You have to take out a home equity line of credit, a HELOC, or a home equity loan, right? To take equity out of the home and pay interest on it. Hmm, I don't agree with that. When you could have put that money into your 401k or IRA or something of that nature and had like access to the actual money itself without paying interest on it. Okay. And that's it for today's podcast. Now, this is very generic, very quick. I can't give you a whole seminar or session on retirement planning in like 10, 15 minutes, right? But these are some very important bullet points that I recommend that grapple with and well, not grapple with, just get under control, right? Get those numbers, get those figures in. I think you'll be okay. All right. So that's it. Hey, I appreciate you guys tuning in as you do every week. I've been kind of like back and forth with the podcast here lately because I've been really tied up with other things, helping clients and appointments and things of that nature. But I appreciate you guys looking at reviewing the podcast, forwarding it to others. So I appreciate you doing that. I ask that you go to my YouTube channel. It has all of my podcasts on it. So my YouTube channel is just my name, Ernest Burley Jr. And I have podcasts on there that range from, talking about real estate to investing and financial planning, insurance, how to improve your credit score, just a whole wide array of various topics on my YouTube station. All right. So go there, forward the podcast and the YouTube site or channel to all of your friends, your family members, your church members, your co-workers, your cohorts, everyone you're associated with, and ask them to forward it to others also. Okay, I appreciate that. Thank y'all for listening. Thank y'all for doing that. If you want to connect with me, very easy to do. Email is my first name at my full name.com. So Ernest at ernestburleyjr.com. If you want to call my firm, very easy to do that too, 301-262-2600. Or you can go to my website, which is just my name, ernestburley.com or ernestburleyjr.com. And I have a lot of great information on my website too, like various things you can kind of click on and get information on regarding various topics. Okay. So that's it for today's podcast. I appreciate you guys tuning in. And I'm going to put this up instead of me saying this, taking like 5 minutes to say all of this verbiage. I'm just going to put it up there and let you guys look at it for a while. So that should be enough time. Okay, there you go. That's my disclosure information I have to give to you. Okay, so that's it for today. Thank y'all for tuning in. Hey, until next time, y'all be safe out there and y'all take care. Okay, vote.